Sleep overtook her with her ripping no more than half done. She had the dream of bonding Rand again, more than once. Sometimes he knelt voluntarily, and sometimes she had to do what she had done with Brigitta, even sneaking into his bedchamber while he slept. Brigitta was one of the other women now. Elaine did not mind that too much. Not her, or Min, or Egwene, or Aviendha, or Nynaeve, though she could not imagine what Lan would say to that last. Others, though. She had just ordered Brigitta in a warder's color-shifting cloak to drag Berylane and Elida to the kitchens for 3 years, when suddenly the two women began pummeling her. She awakened to find Nynaeve trampling her to reach Brigitta and check on the woman. The gray light just before dawn showed in the small windows. Brigitta woke claiming she was as strong as ever, and ravenous besides. Elaine was not certain whether Nynaeve had finished her bout of self-blame. She did not wring her hands or speak of it, but while Elaine washed her face and hands and explained about the menagerie and why they had to remain with it a while longer, Nynaeve hastily peeled and cored red pears and yellow apples, sliced cheese, and handed it all to Brigitta on a plate with a cup of watered wine with honey and spices. She would have fed the woman had Brigitta let her. Nynaeve washed Brigitta's hair and wiped hen pepper herself until it was as black as Elaine's. Elaine did her own, of course, donated her best stockings and shift, and looked disappointed when a pair of Elaine's slippers fit better. She insisted on helping Brigitta into the gray silk as soon as her hair had been toweled dry and braided again. The hips and bosom needed letting out, too, but that would have to wait, and even wanted to stitch the hem herself, until Elaine's incredulous stare made her retreat to her own ablutions, muttering as she scrubbed her face that she could sew as well as anyone, when she wanted to. When they went outside at last, the first sharp golden edge of the sun was peeking above the trees to the east. For this little while, the day felt deceptively comfortable. There was not a cloud to be seen in the sky, and by noon the air would be hot and gritty. Tom and Julian were hitching the team to the wagon, and the whole camp bustled in preparation for moving. Skulker was already saddled, and Elaine made a note to herself to speak up about riding today herself before one of the men took possession of the saddle. Even if Tom or Julian got there first, though, she would not be too disappointed. This very afternoon, she would high-walk in front of people for the first time. The costume Luca had shown her made her a little nervous, but at least she was not moaning about it as Nynaeve did. Luca himself came striding rapidly through the camp, red cloak fluttering behind, chivying and shouting unneeded instructions. Latel, wake those bloody bears. I want them on their feet, snarling when we drive through Samara. Clarine, you watch those dogs this time. If one of them goes chasing after a cat again, Brugh, you and your brothers do your tumbling just ahead of my wagon, mind. Just ahead. This is supposed to be a stately procession, not a race to see which of you can backflip the fastest. Sarandon, keep those boar horses in hand. I want people to gasp in amazement, not run in terror. He stopped at their wagon, glowering at Nynaeve and herself equally, with a bit left over for Brigitta. Kind of you to decide to come with the rest of us, Mistress Nana, my Lady Morellin. I thought you meant to sleep until midday. He nodded toward Brigitta. Having a chat with someone from across the river, are you? Well, we've no time for visitors. I mean to be set up and performing by noon. Nynaeve looked taken aback by the onslaught, but by the end of his second sentence, she was meeting him glare for glare. Whatever her awkwardness toward Brigitta, it apparently did not hinder her temper where others were concerned. We will be ready as soon as anyone, and you know it, Vaylin Luca. Besides, an hour or two will make no difference anyway. There are enough people gathered on the other side of the river that if 1 in 100 comes to your show, it will be more than you ever dreamed. If we decide to make a leisurely breakfast, you can just twiddle your thumbs and wait. You'll not get what you want if you leave us behind. That was her bluntest reminder yet of the promised 100 gold marks, but for once it did not slow him. Enough people? Enough people? People must be attracted, woman. Chin Akima has been in place 3 days, and he has a fellow who juggles swords and axes, and 9 acrobats. 9! Some woman I've never heard of has 2 women acrobats who do things on a hanging rope that would make the Chavana's eyes pop. You would not believe the crowds. Cilia Serrano has men with their faces painted like court fools, splashing each other with water and hitting each other over the head with bladders, and people are paying an extra silver penny just to watch. Suddenly his eyes narrowed, focusing on Brigitte. Would you be willing to paint your face? Cilia doesn't have a woman among her fools. Some of the horse handlers would be willing. It doesn't hurt getting hit with an inflated bladder, and I will pay you. He trailed off, musing. He did not like parting with money any more than Nynaeve did, and Brigitte spoke into his momentary silence. I am not a fool, and will not be a fool. I am an archer. An archer, he muttered, eyeing the intricate glossy black braid pulled over her left shoulder. And I suppose you call yourself Brigitte. What are you? One of those idiots hunting the Horn of Valere? Even if the thing exists, what chance any one of you will find it more than another? I was in Ilion when the hunters' oaths were given, and there were thousands in the great square of Tamaz. But for glory that you can attain, nothing can outshine the applause of, I am an archer, pretty man. Brigitte broke in firmly. Fetch a bow, and I will outshoot you or anyone you name. 100 crowns gold to your 1. Elaine expected Nynaeve to yelp. It was they who would have to cover the wager if Brigitte lost. And whatever she claimed, Elaine did not think Brigitte could be fully recovered already. Yet all Nynaeve did was close her eyes briefly and draw a deep, long breath. Women, Luca growled. Tom and Julian did not have to look as if they agreed. You are a fine match for the Lady Morellon and Nana, or whatever their names are. He swept his silk cloak in a wide gesture at the surroundings.